when we have some questions, just to jump on in. So we're going to just start recording now. Welcome to part 2 of Selling for Success, the Monday Night Sales Clinic. My name is David Cohen, and I own a company called the Boomer Business Coach. And I'm really honored to be working with Daniela at the Richmond Hill Small Business Enterprise Center and doing this series with her. It's really an honor. We've been talking about this since May, believe it or not, and here we are, we're finally doing it. So we're going to look at getting in the game over the next, 5 more weeks, tonight included. Looking at knowing yourself, knowing your niche, warming up the call, developing a sales action plan, selling is a good conversation, overcoming the fear. We're going to look at the importance of asking questions, nurturing the client and the relationship. Like, the relationship is going to be really key to your success. So tonight, last week we looked at knowing yourself. Remember, we looked at your value proposition, a mission and a bit of a vision, and knowing the value, the benefits of your offering. Remember, we talked about value is the sum of the benefits minus cost equals value. So we looked at that. That was really important. Hopefully this week you have your value proposition. Does anybody want to share that at all, or anybody want to jump in and share? Give you a moment to do that. Oh, we got shy people on the call. Okay, make sure you do the homework because it's really going to be helpful. And get a buddy. Share your value proposition with someone this week, and just say, hey, what do you think? Does this make sense? One thing I came across this week is that you might have a couple of value propositions. Depends on the market you call on. So personally, like, I've got clients in the nonprofit sector. Well, guess what? I deliver something very different to them than I would to an individual business owner that I would work with. So the value proposition might shift and change a little bit depending on how many sort of segments of the market that you serve. So that's something to sort of bear in mind. So tonight we're going to look at knowing your customer, knowing your niche. And so we looked at knowing yourself last week. Tonight we're going to look at knowing who we're serving. And this is part 2. So really, I want you to actually, if you have a pen and paper at your desk, work on this. Like, who's your ideal client? Really important to know, who is your ideal client and prospect, so that when you're marketing and you're selling, that you're going directly to the kind of client that is going to need what you've got the most. They're going to love what you have the most. So it's really important for you to get really clear in your mind, who's my ideal client? Who do I want to serve? Who do I want to work with? What makes them ideal? That's another really important thing, because we can call on a lot of people, but let's say we have a client we call PETA clients. A PETA client is, any guesses? It's a pain in the ass client. We don't want those kind of clients unless we, unless you're, I hope you can, everybody can see the screen there. Can everybody see the screen now, Patty? Yeah? Okay, good. So really important, to sort of, first of all, who's your ideal client? Who do you like to call on? Who do you like to work with? What makes them ideal? What are the characteristics that go into that? So for me, they value you. They value your ideas, your input, your time. They value you and pay you properly and pay you on time. Nothing, all right, good, Patty. And Patty, thanks for chiming in on the question theme. And that you can see it now. So really important to really get clear as to what are the kind of characteristics or attributes that make up your ideal client, so that when you're out marketing, you'll be able to identify them. The reason I ask this is, first of all, it's important to be clear as to who our ideal clients are, and to be able to go after them easily, to be able to reach them easily, that they have to be accessible, that that you can call them up and strike up a conversation and do business with them, or you can network with them, or you can advertise with them, or you can join the same LinkedIn groups as they're in, on LinkedIn, or Facebook groups that they're in. So you want to be able to reach your client and then really know the characteristics you're looking for. If you ever buy a new car, you'll find, I don't know about you, but when I get that car off the lot, one of the things I start to notice on the highway is the same car I have. Does that happen for other people? Right? You're driving along, maybe you just got a new Toyota Camry, and then all of a sudden, and maybe it's in, gunmetal gray, and all of a sudden you see like everybody's driving one of those things, right? The reason that happens is kind of what you focus on starts to materialize. And that's called activating the reticular activation center in your brain. So when you're focused on who your ideal client and what makes them ideal, guess what? They start to show up easily. The other really cool thing is there a niche client that you love to serve? Is there a little pocket maybe of the population? Maybe it's, women with kids. Maybe it's single moms. Maybe it's the elderly. Maybe it's companies in the high-tech sector. Is there a niche client that you like to serve? And go after that. Maybe you come from the high-tech world and you've got all these contacts and colleagues and knowledge and about the high-tech sector. And why not go back to that sector and embrace all those contacts you have? Another really important thing is to determine as you're developing your client and prospect list is who's got the greatest need for your services. If there's a need, then that client or prospect is going to be really interested in wanting to hear from you. And then, again, what are their characteristics of your client? What are your client's challenges and problems? Do your homework on your clients. Find out what's going on in their world so that you can serve them better, right? We all want to serve our clients better and get into their world, get into their headspace, get into what matters to them. Welcome, Vadim. Vadim just joined us, so welcome to you. And again, really important to kind of do your homework, do your research on your clients so that when you're having a conversation, you can talk their language. You can start, communicating to them in a way that's going to matter to them. That's why it's really important to really get clear as to who your client base is and understand them, understand what drives them. I'll give you a little case in point. I have a good colleague of mine. His name is Tom St. Louis, and he is a marketing consultant. He does a lot of work with lawyers, and in particular, what he does is he buys yellow page ads, which are kind of, I guess, gone the way of the dodo bird a little bit. But he would buy yellow page advertising for lawyers. And one of his clients was a divorce lawyer. And in a normal divorce lawyer ad, what would you maybe see, in terms of an ad in the yellow pages for a divorce lawyer? Kind of like, we'll get you settled or whatever, or we'll represent you, or we're the trusted name in law firms. We know divorces, whatever, something like that. Well, what this law firm did is, and what Tom recommended is that the law firm, what he recommended is that the law firm got into the headspace of the client, like you, the client, if you were going to open the yellow pages and call on a divorce lawyer, like what's going on in your head at that time? Well, there's fear. Is this going to cost me a lot? Are my kids going to be okay? What else? All those concerns you've got, right? Is this final? Can I just explore? Can I just have a conversation and just see if this is the right thing at the right time? And so what this law firm did in their ad is they took out a full page ad that looked like a magazine article. And the headline was, here are the 5 things you need to know before you even call a divorce lawyer. So they set up the sale, and they got into the head of the customer. They knew the customer. They knew the concerns that customer had in that moment looking up the yellow pages for a divorce lawyer. And so it said, it talked about, is your law firm going to be adversarial? Because if it's adversarial, you're going to have a fight on your hands, and that could increase your court costs, right? Well, we don't want that. Do they believe in a mediation process as opposed to fighting it out in court and litigating? Because again, There's your cost. Oh, do they believe in fairness for all? All parties involved, the kids and both parties, right? So they put 5 of these critical points that people worry about and are concerned about right in the ad, right in the copy of the ad. And then they wrote a little bit of copy and they said, if you're not getting this from your law firm, then we need to talk. So it wasn't a hard sell. It was very much a softer sell. But what they did was they got into the head of the client and they stopped to think, what's the client thinking when they're about to dial that phone and call a divorce lawyer? So really, really important to understand your clients. Hilda writes, I'm just reading, we have, you can write questions and ask questions or make comments if you don't want to speak. Hilda says, in other words, I can say I should know my market by large. Yeah, you got to know your market. You've got to know who you're talking to. You got to know about your clients. You got to know what concerns them. You got to know what their goals and hopes and dreams are, and you got to know how to engage with them. It's not enough to be, well, we're really good or we have a great service or anything like that. You've got to really, really understand your customer and then talk their language, talk in a way that matters to them. Hey, Joe, I understand that a lot of small businesses are struggling to get sales. Well, what my company does is we have training and coaching programs that will help you increase your sales by 10% and do so in a way that it's fun and engaging, right? So that's something maybe I would say. What you would say is, again, find the problem or the challenge your clients are going through and speak to that, all right? And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on here tonight. So really, you want to try and find a bit of a niche, like a little bit of a market or two that you can hone in on. Maybe it's an industry sector. Maybe it's a type of person, right? Maybe it's businesswomen. Maybe it's, businessmen. It just depends on who you group with and who you want to do business with. Because when you have a niche working for you, it helps you to focus your efforts, right? You're not scattering yourself all over talking to everybody. Everybody's a client. No, you want to focus in on a certain sort of sector of the population or a certain industry sector. So you're a lot more focused. You know what to say to them. You know what concerns them. You know what matters to them. And you know where and how to reach them in terms of your marketing. And even in your marketing messaging has to connect to that customer to get them interested to want to meet you, right? So also when you niche, you become known in that category, and there's usually little competition. The other thing too, if you niche and you specialize, you get to charge more. I don't know if anybody has ever gone to a specialist like a doctor or a health specialist. You're going to wait longer to see them, and you're going to pay more, right? Because they're the specialists. They can do what nobody else can do. There's going to be a lot less of your time wasted by calling on everybody. You're going to be a lot more focused, and you'll have a clear-cut direction in terms of your overall sales and marketing. How are we all doing? You okay so far? All right. So this is a true story. This is a client of mine that came in for a coaching session. And she had a little bit of a challenge on her hands. She was doing stress management workshops and coaching and programs for women 35 to 55. Well, when she came in for a coaching session, she was kind of a little bummed out because she said, when I'm out there marketing or networking or talking to this group, I'm not getting many people interested in what I'm doing, right? And so I said, well, so her name was Pamela. I said, so Pamela, well, what are you saying? And she said, well, I just think of women 35 to 55, and if any of them have any stress issues, that I offer stress workshops and mindfulness workshops and meditation and one-on-one counseling on stress. And I said, that's good. Your offer is good, but you're not connecting with what really matters to these clients. So what we did is we did a pie, a circle. I said, Pamela, what are the different kinds of women within that target market? Because that's the women 35 to 55 that you see on the screen. That's a target market. But then there's subsegments within that target market. And we decided to call on three of the sub-segments that you see below. So we felt that sub-segment working women with family were highly stressed, right? They're working, they have family, they probably had older parents to consider as well. They had a commute into work. Then they had to come home and take care of their husbands and their family. So we felt that group was a group that had a lot of stress, right? The second group we felt that had a lot of stress were single self-employed women with kids. Here they are, they're running a family on their own and a business. Now, all of you that are in business, it can be stressful in your business, right? And then there's the third segment we worked with were single working women with kids. And we felt that out of all the segments that we identified, and believe me, there were about 12 or 13, that these three had the most stress. So let's say Pamela then went to a business woman's networking group, and now her 30-second elevator pitch would kind of sound like this. Are you a single self-employed woman with kids? You know the stress of running a family by yourself, managing and juggling that, taking the kids to soccer practice or ballet or dance or hockey, and the stress of running the business? Well, what we do is we give you the gift of of time back. We give you some space to manage the hustle and bustle of your day-to-day life, and we give you your life back. If you're looking to de-stress and find really good ways to do that, then you want to call me. I'm Pamela Jones, and here's where I am. And what happened at that networking event was there were enough women that were like that at that networking event that came up to her after and said, I want to talk to you, right? I'm stressed. I need to talk to you. One of the things in sales that you have to, and in business, you have to really understand is that at any given time in business, when you're out marketing or you're at a networking event and you come home and you go, man, that networking event sucked. I didn't get anybody. The reason is that when you're marketing or you're selling or you're getting the word out there, only 3% of the world's population want what you have at any given time. 7% of the people out there that you're talking to are thinking about it. That means 90% of those that you talk to at any given time aren't even in the market for what you have. Does that make sense? All right. So really important to identify subsegments and talk their language. When Pamela started to connect to what mattered to single self-employed women with kids at a networking event, her sales, her appointments, her business started to grow and expand. Really important for you to do that. I'm not sure if that's going to work. No, it's not. I thought it would, but it's not. Here's some really cool, I hope this works, examples of niche marketing. This is a company called Marketing for Hippies. Can people see that? Can you see that Marketing for Hippies up there? Yeah, no, maybe? All right. So this is a site called Marketing for Hippies. And that's actually a colleague of mine. His name is Tad Hargrave. And he's niched. He's a marketing consultancy firm. And what he's doing is he's talking to conscious, green, and local businesses. So conscious are like yoga practitioners, Reiki, alternative healing, right? Massage therapists, the nutritionists, that kind of thing. And so his niche is that market. The reason is that A, it's growing, and B, they're really good at what they do. They're good at healing or massage or giving you nutritional advice. What they're really not good at is marketing and selling. So he helps them do that in a way that's going to be a lot easier. Here's another niche. I hope you can see it. It's Vaughn Mompreneurs. Anybody heard of Vaughn Mompreneur? It's a networking group. I hope they're still around. Yeah, they're around. It's a networking group for moms in business, right? So that's a really cool example of a niche. There's a networking group just for moms in business. So if you want to reach moms in business, that's a group you want to talk to, right? Because it's a clear example of a niche. Here's another one. My friend Sabia Siegel runs a company called The Food Coach. Boy, the niche is right in the name. Right in the name. It doesn't even get, any clearer than that. So you know exactly what she does. She's a food coach. She'll help you with your eating, the physiology, the behavior. She's a dietitian, and she does all that. So that's another example of a niche, right? Because it's a certain sector, it's a certain market, and it's a clear, you get a clear picture of exactly what they do. Okay, I got some questions. Yeah, Brian said yes. Joe said yes. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. And yeah, so another one is Zipcar wheels when you need them. There's an even better one out there now in the marketplace, and it's short-term car rentals for youth or for students, and it's called Student Car Share. You can look them up online. And the owner of that company, he's based in Toronto. He's really honed in on that market. So he offers, short-term car rentals for students. And he's done joint ventures with like TELUS Mobility. The TELUS has a whole campaign and an award system for students. What they offer, what TELUS offers is if you don't text and drive, you get points and you get, perks like free pizza or savings at certain stores. So he's teamed up with other companies who want to reach the youth market. And he's teamed up with Pizza, that if you return the car clean and on time, you can use the back of your receipt as a coupon, so you can go to Pizza for a free pizza slice. So he's really honed in on that market. And he knows what drives that market. He knows the concerns of that market, right? One is, don't text and drive. One is, return the car and be responsible, and you're going to get a pizza slice. So he's really honed in on that niche. So one of the things I'm going to encourage you to do is, what I want you to do for a moment here is think of your target market. What are some sub-segments, like Pamela, the stress lady, that you can maybe, focus in on? And as you think about it, what do you know about them? What are some of the issues or challenges you feel that niche market has, and how can you solve them? So just take a moment just to do this, okay, and answer these questions and think about it. And then I'd like at least one person to volunteer, okay? So just think about this for a moment. We'll do a little bit of inner work and answer these questions. Think of your own market, and are there any sub-segments within that you can really focus in on? Take a couple minutes. Without background music. Do the Jeopardy thing. Here, I got some music. Take a couple minutes and work on that. I've wasted my days standing in line, defending your ways and waiting for a sign. Know it's too late, being too blind. Now it's got me floating behind, ability to breathe. But you might believe I don't mean my goodbye. All right. Another couple seconds on this. So I'd like one volunteer to think of your target market, if you thought of your target market, and what are some sub-segments within that market you can hone in on? Anybody want to give that a shot? You can write your answer down too. Any ideas?
If no one else wants to, David, I'll go.
Thanks, Diane. Appreciate it.
Okay, so I'm looking at one of my businesses, looking at the lawn storks and more.
Mm-hmm.
So a target market for me is people who are having new babies,
Right.
and people who are celebrating first and second birthdays with those little ones. And so sub-markets within that, can be the grandparents, aunts and uncles, the dads, not necessarily just the moms.
Yep.
And so finding ways to connect with them, and letting them know what's available. What I do know about this niche market is that when the time comes for a baby to be born, it's a very, although you've been waiting for 9 months, it happens quickly, and there's time pressure, and there's emotions, and there's celebration, and there's busyness, and lots of people, and all of those things.
Right.
So some of the issues or the challenges would be, how do I go about arranging it? How much work's involved? Who do I call? How do I set it up? And how I can solve those issues are, quick phone call, day before mom's coming home with the baby, everything's taken care of you. The stork is on the lawn, the balloons are there, the picture's taken, you get your little keepsake. Everybody knows that you've had the baby. All those people who have been asking you for the past week, have you had it yet? Have you had it yet? Have you had it yet? So that happens. Everybody knows the name. You don't need to worry about all of that kind of stuff. Happens quick, easy. Pay online or with your credit card. Done. Finished. Over.
Excellent. So show for a grandparent, show your pride easily.
Mm-hmm.
That would be like the message.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that.
Yeah, it's easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just one call and it's there, it's done, right? And grandparents love to show off, and they're so proud. It's it could be their first grandchild, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they go crazy. Yeah, yeah. All right, excellent. Thanks. Did everybody get that? Thanks for doing that, man. And that's exactly what we're looking for, is that like your overall target market, but you know what? Chances are the people making the buying decision for storks, lawn storks, are the grandparents or the aunts and the uncles, right? I know if it was me, like, and my wife having a baby, we probably wouldn't do that, but we'd be tickled pink if our family around us did that. That would be really cool. So yeah, great point. And you want to make it easy for them and take out the stress. That's really important. So again, the importance of a niche, we talked about that. Some really good niche marketing success stories. Kentucky Fried Chicken, they could compete with the hamburger. 7-Up became the Uncola. When 7-Up did that, oh my God, their sales just skyrocketed. Because nobody understood really what 7-Up was all about. Some people were like, what are they doing? What is this drink? It's not a cola. What is it, right? And so when 7-Up became an Uncola, boy, oh boy, their sales just totally skyrocketed, and really important, right? So I got some questions to answer. I think it's, is it Joe? Or no, Stephen. He finds that his market's too large by design, so he's trying to market his business after Google and Twitter and bigger sites like that by making the site neutral and ultimately just making it the most effective tool. Is this always frowned upon? Not really, Stephen. I think you if you can find a pocket or a niche, though, that would really help you, have a more focused message. Sometimes your niche, though, isn't, it could be an industry type. It could be a niche could come from the problems you're solving for customers. That could be a bit of a niche as well. So your niche, your niche can vary. It's not necessarily a customer or a customer focus. It could also be, your niche could also be what you're doing. Like, 7-Up becoming the Young Cola, right? Back in the day when 7-Up decided to brand themselves as that, nobody was really clear as to what 7-Up was. And when they positioned themselves as the Uncola, oh, we get it. You're like a cola, but you're not. You're the Uncola. So that in and of itself is an insured. Gray Plus Insurance, car insurance for people 50 plus. This is a really good example of a successful niche. And it's a colleague of mine. Her name is Tina Beer, and she owns a company in Toronto called House Salon Health Yoga. And what she came across a niche. All right, thanks, Steve. I'm glad that helped you. She came across a niche out of need, out of necessity, out of life experience. So Tina is a great lady, and she loves yoga, right? So she came up with a company called Yoga for Round Bodies, or this concept called Yoga for Round Bodies. So back about maybe 10, 12 years ago, Tina loved to do yoga, and she would go to a yoga studio or maybe a Good Life Fitness or something and do yoga. What Tina noticed was people would stare at her and kind of, what are you doing here? And the reason why is that Tina's a plus-size woman. She's about 350 pounds. She's in shape for that, but she's plus size. And so she felt really uncomfortable going to these yoga clinics and doing yoga. And so what she did is what she did actually, before she developed, she did some market research and she started to talk to other plus size women about, if do they do yoga? And if not, what stops them? Or if they do, what stops them from doing yoga at a place? And they all said the same thing. Embarrassment. We feel that we're judged. People stare at us. We feel out of place. Everybody there is, 120 pounds. And, we're not. We're 350. Some people were 400. So what Tina's asked them, she said, if there was a place you could go to and feel safe and do yoga with other plus size women, would you bite? Would you take advantage of that? And believe it or not, most of her clients said, yeah, they would. Her prospects said, yeah, we would. And when you open, tell us because we'll sign up, right? So Tina got her certification in teaching yoga. She specialized in what's called restorative yoga, where the postures are done on the floor, which are a lot less taxing on the joints and the muscles in the body. And what she did then was got her certification, and then she branded it Yoga for Round Bodies. So since then, about 10 years ago, she's had a very successful yoga practice, and now she's licensing Yoga for Round Bodies around North America. So other yoga practitioners are taking note. Here's Tina. She's got a very successful yoga practice. Never a challenge filling the class. She also offers other healing modalities. She does massage therapy and counseling and lifestyle counseling. So she's now licensing this concept. She's making, $10,000 to $15,000 per license, which is amazing. And the other thing too, because she's built up quite a name for herself working with plus size women, if there's a newspaper or magazine, they're doing an article on maybe self-esteem issues for plus size women, they're going to her as the go-to person in that industry. So she's getting a ton of media exposure for positioning herself as yoga for round bodies. So really incredible story. And that's the benefit of niching. That story to me in and of itself is really why you want to really consider, honing in on a key market and being all things to them, because boy, it can really pay off, right? I want to try and do a case study. So I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself, watch your background noise. And I just want to have an open conversation about this. Hopefully we can pull this off here tonight. This is a niche marketing case study. Let's say you own a tire store and you want to launch an ad campaign. But you know what? you realize that there are more distinct markets and segments than you first imagined. You discover your clients really vary, from families who are concerned about safety and their budget, to the boomer market who want value and reliability. You find you also get young men who love speed and performance, right? You know, those guys who squeal the tires when you're stopped and pretty well gives you a heart attack as you're driving. Anyway, you got those guys. And then you've got another group of people that come in. They're single women 30 to 45 who don't want to be oversold to. You know, they don't trust mechanics because they've had some challenges in the past. So that's who you're going to do a marketing campaign for. So here's what I want you to chime in with, or write if you want to write. And I'm just going to ask, how would you approach market and sell to these distinct segments? What would you say to families on a budget? What do you think might matter to them when they're buying tires? You can write it, you can speak. All right, I'll continue on. If you want to write your answer down, I'll see it and I'll add it in. Families on a budget might be concerned, well, for sure, safety, right? And value for the dollar. Yeah, buy one, get one free. Brian writes that might entice them because it's a deal, right? So that's good. Buy one, get one free. What about boomers wanting reliability and value? You know, these tires have to last, right? They have to last. You know, the boomer market. They might want also a buy one, get one free too, Brian, so you never know. Doris, you had your hand up, so now you have a question. All right, good. Yeah, cost for all four. Okay. So yeah, boomers might be, have them in for a test drive, Louisa. Yeah, have the boomer come in and test drive it, right? You know, and see for yourself the quality and the value. What about men who like speed? Gotta love those guys. These are the young guys, you know, that you see. They love speed and they've got those souped up cars. Usually it's a Honda. I don't know why, but anybody? What would what would you say to those guys? Yeah, fast quarter mile, Brian Prue. Thanks, Brian. Maybe you have like, you can win a date with Danica Patrick. I don't know, some sort of contest like that. I hate to say it, but sex in this case would sell. Um, you know, uh, race, compare them to speed cars, exactly. Have them feel that they're like a race car driver. What about this? Women who don't want to overpay and, pardon the pun, get taken for a ride. How would you market them? What would you say to them? Women who don't want to overpay. Have an education seminar for women to women. Yeah, educate them on cars, like in car repairs, so that they can make a more educated decision and they won't feel that they're being taken advantage of. That's a great idea. Yeah. So what I'm trying to do with this sort of mini case study is to kind of get you to think of like your own client base. That you've got different people there, and you can't be all things to all people. So try and focus on maybe just a few, one or two if you can, but just make sure that you understand the client and you talk their language, because when you talk to what matters to them, they're going to say, oh my God, they get me, and they understand what I'm thinking and what I'm going through and what matters to me. And I want to work with a company that's like that. It's going to really improve your odds in selling. Diane says, keep it simple and to the point with women. Yeah, keep it simple. Don't get overly complicated. I think that's too with boomers wanting reliability and value. We might be older, but we're not, as I like to say, I was born at night. It wasn't last night. So, boomers, we can kind of know when somebody's trying to put one over on us, right? So really important, to look at that market. I think we did this already. Just that was this is more on the case study, but I think we've got it pretty well. So good work so far. We're almost done tonight, and it's 8:43, so we've got a few more minutes left. One of the key things in business and in sales is you've got to be researching. Really important to research the marketplace. You want to understand what's going on with your clients. What are some of the key frustrations and pain that they're in? Because when you have a conversation with a client, either in your marketing material or your messaging or maybe on a phone call, or you're at a networking event or you're at a conference or a trade show and you're talking it up to people, if you understand what what your clients are facing in terms of their frustrations and pain, and you have some idea, solution to their problems, they're going to want to hear you. They're going to want to talk to you. They're going to want to meet you. It's also really important that you become educated about your industry. What are some success stories? Who in your sector is succeeding, and why is that? So really bone up on success stories, even in your own industry, and understand, like, if there's somebody in your industry succeeding, why is that? What's their mindset? What's their business model? What's the recipe? What are they doing that you need to be doing? So just bear that in mind. Always be researching. See who's doing really well in your industry. What do you have to model? There's no reason why you can't do well as well. It's really the mindset and perhaps the business model. Also look at, success stories in your industry, understand your clients, what they're going through, and any success stories you've had with your clients. Really important to, keep track of those and document good success stories with your clients so that you can easily share that with a prospective new client. Say, hey, look, here are the results we're getting for our clients. Would you like that? And because that's what we can do for you. And it's when you talk like that, when you start to converse with your clients like that, or your prospective clients like that, they're going to want to hear you. They're going to want to talk to you. They're going to want to meet you, because you're not just coming at it saying, oh, hi, I'm this, I do this, I'm really good at this. No, you're now talking the language of your clients. So what we're going to start to really hone in on over the next 4 weeks is this. This is the 6-step sales process. So we've talked about research the past 2 weeks, researching our own industry, knowing ourselves, knowing our own value. We've talked about researching our market, understanding the concept of niching, of talking to what matters to our clients to understand our market. Next week, we're going to look at prospecting, connecting, networking, talking it up. Then we're going to, in another couple of weeks, we're going to look at what do you do in a discovery session. So my goal for prospecting is never to sell. I will never sell on a first-time call or on a meeting or at a networking event. What I want is to get somebody interested to want to meet me. And that's what we're going to look at, is what goes on in that meeting. And then when I meet with them, I determine there whether or not I have the solutions to their problems, and if I want to work with them. And then I also get clear if they want to work with me. They might not like me either, right? So, and then what I do is, if it's green lights go, we're going to look at delivering good presentations and asking for the business. That's step number 4 in the 6-step sales process. Also within here, you've got to close, overcome objections, and negotiate a little bit right in there, okay? And then we're going to look at doing the work and the importance of following up and building relationships. Does that sound fair over the next few weeks? You all on board? I hope so. I do. So research is king. So I just want to open up the conversation. We have about 10 minutes left. What do you think you need to know about your clients ahead of calling them or prospecting? Can you think of 3 points you'd want to know ahead of calling the prospect or client? What would you want to know? I want to know their name for sure. Yeah, income level, area, education level. Stephen, thank you for that. Exactly. You want to know certain demographic information. You want to know what's going on in their industry, perhaps. Is it in decline? Is it sagging? Income level, Hilda, really good. Louisa, welcome to you, by the way. Who are they? What do they do? How profitable are they? Are they struggling? What challenges they have? So yeah, ahead of calling somebody, you want to sort of get clear in your mind as to what's going on for them and then what you can do to help them. Where can you go to obtain client data and research? Can you think of three sources? Three sources you can go to for research. Yeah, websites. Yeah, websites. Brian mentioned in terms of question one, you want to know your client's interests. Maybe they belong to charities, other interests. Louisa says the library, Scott's directories. Excellent. All really good. I love directories. I like going down to the library at Reference Library at Yonge and Bloor or the North York Public Library. They all have unbelievable research sections with Scott's directory, which is a business directory. It lists every business in the city with contact names, how much revenues they do. It's incredible. Then if you want to call on trade associations, there's an association directory that lists every association. That's really, really good. What else do I have? Word of mouth referral, annual reports. Yeah. Industry associations. Brian, excellent. Google, Diane. These are all great places to look and keep an open mind for, obtaining data and research because you can use that data in your sales and marketing conversations, right? So you want to, I'll give you an example actually of a client who did this. And it totally catapulted her business. So this is a little, a while ago. Competitor websites, Brian, yeah, tap into competitor websites. So I had a client that came in for some coaching and she was in tears. This was actually in 2008. So it is it's a little while ago. This is in that after the real estate fallout and the recession. So she came in to my office for some coaching, and she was doing home staging, and she was finding that because of the real estate slowdown at that time, more so in the States than here, but also here, that people, real estate agents, weren't responding and weren't wanting to see her. And she was almost in tears. She said, "Oh my God, the market's dried up. It's like a ghost town." And so I asked her name was Deborah. I said, "Deborah, what are you saying to entice people when you make a call?" And she said, what I'm saying really is just, that I do really good work and we help them get, clients and, do better." And I said, "Well, that's a little bit, hit and miss." So what we did is we went onto Google and we went into Google News, top news, and we typed in news stories about her industry, so home staging. And sure enough, wouldn't you know, the first story that came out was in a magazine out of Florida. And if you remember at that time, Florida got really hard hit by the recession, especially the real estate fallout. And so I was kind of surprised to see the story. But the story basically said that even in this economy, homes that were staged were getting 9% more on the resale value of the house, and they were selling faster. And I said, "Deborah, you got to use this information in your messaging. Like, don't even change it." And so she did. She used it pretty well, word for word. And so she would make a prospecting call or a cold call to a prospective real estate agent, and she'd say, "Hi, Joe, it's Deborah from XYZ Home Staging. And reports and studies show, even in this crazy economy that we're in, homes that are staged are getting 9% more, and they're selling a lot faster than homes that aren't. If that's and here's what she said: if that's a result that you'd like for your practice and your clients, I'd love to help you get that. And I'd also love about maybe a half hour to show you our work and our portfolio and see if you're up to working together." Well, because she just changed the messaging and she used data and research in her messaging, she started to get appointments. Because tell me, really, what real estate agent in their right mind doesn't want 9% more and their home is selling faster, right? They want to get rid of inventory so they can go on to the next house and the next house. So really important to, do your homework, do your research, and really hone up on what's going on in your industry and also in your client's industry. Any questions at all before we kind of wrap up tonight. Do you have any questions? I hope you've learned something tonight. So I got homework again for you, and I really want to make sure you're doing it, okay? What I want you to do is I want you to think of your top 3 clients, and what do you know about them right now? What's some information you got? What's some dirt that you got on your clients? Oh, this one's having an affair. No, I'm just kidding. How does knowing this information help facilitate the sales process? What are 3 new bits of information you might want to know about these clients? What do you want to know? What else do you want to know? And I have a challenge for you this week. I want you to call 3 of your best clients and book a planning session with them. Just to meet, have a coffee, discuss their wants, their needs, their goals, their budgets. Find out what their plans are for the rest of this quarter between now and, December 31st. What do they want? And ask them, how can you serve them even better? So that's your homework for next week. I hope you're okay with that. Stephen. So 3 sub-segments. Where can we find the recorded sessions from this week and last? Brian, if you email me, I'll email it and say I do have the recording. I did it on Vimeo, and I'll send you the link. So if anybody wants the recording, if you missed last week, I can send you the recording. All right, so just email me. I'm at thecoach@smallbusinessbigideas.com. Okay, thecoach@smallbusinessbigideas.com. So that's it for me for tonight. Any other questions, comments? Did you learn anything? Anybody?
It was great, David. Thank you very much.
Thanks. We're finished a little bit early, so that's good, and I appreciate that, Diane. Diane, actually, just before we leave, Diane's a perfect example. For those who don't know, I have Diane and I are colleagues and friends, and I'm about to launch this new initiative, a new business initiative, and my first step is to research the market first. And Diane's doing some of that legwork for me and doing some research. So research really is king. Before you launch anything, look into it. See if there's a market. See what your clients want. See what's bugging them. See what's in their way. See what their budgets are. Can they even afford you? If they can't afford you, it's like, you might have a bit of a challenge on your hand, right? Okay, thanks, Hattie. It was great having you on the call too. I appreciate that. So I just really, again, do the homework, because this is really going to help you, right? Do this stuff next week. Have a conversation with 3 of your best clients. Go book a session with them. One thing I love in the new year, how it quietens down in business sometimes for some of us, by about mid-December, it's like nothing's happening. It's a great time to get on the phone and book planning sessions with your clients for the new year, right in January and February, because then you can help them really achieve the results they want throughout the year, and you get a jump start on it. It's really kind of good. Or if you ever go to a trade show for your industry, talk to your clients and say, hey, I'm going to a trade show, or I'm going to a seminar about my industry. Is there something you want me to look out for you for, or find out? Do you have any questions? I can ask some of the industry experts or find out something on your behalf. So that's another reason to connect with your clients. So that wraps up this week. We're back at it next week. Winston, welcome. And Vadim, if I didn't welcome you, you came on as I started. So I just want to thank everybody. And if you want to unmute your lines, we can all say good night all at once in 3. So 3, 2, 1. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Have a good one.
Good night, Dave.
Cheers, everybody.